Hi, Daryl. How are you today?
Hi, Linda.
Great seeing you, and I'm excited to start this third video because now we're getting into uncharted territory for me. So I know watched. You went further. You, Daryl, and Martha went further because you, I mean, Martha and Marshall and others were dealing with pain, and the C60 that you were taking knocked it out. But none of the other brands, which was what, three or four other brands on the market, didn't touch it.
Yeah, we got introduced to C60 at the beginning of 2018, and there was no Amazon page with C60 on it, I believe, at that time. All right.
Right.
And now you go up, they got, I don't know even how many pages, they got a lot. But so when we started taking it, there was only a handful of players in the marketplace. All right. And that's why, because you've made the point, Linda, is that it seems like we were led, and we felt that we were being led. I mean, not just because Marshall knew Bucky Fuller, and he
Oh
and
no, it was more than that. And this is why I'm so interested to get into this story because it seemed like from this point on, divine intervention stepped in every step of the way.
so yeah, and the thing that got my attention first, and why I thought it was so out of the ordinary, is that the person who sent the bottle of C60 to Marshall, he had taken it, and he had a separated shoulder. I think he fell off a bicycle, and it helped him. And so he sent it to Marshall, and he said, Marshall, this may be a gift to Bucky from out of the past, because he knew Marshall's relationship with Bucky Fuller. All right, Marshall, not knowing at all what it would do, took this C60, and the next day he woke up, and the pain from two very painful knee surgeries, constant pain for 2 years, had gone. And Marshall said he didn't even know what happened. Woke up and something was really different. And he lay there and he realized the pain was gone. All right, not expecting it. He wasn't told it was going to help his pain.
And then Martha got rid of her pain.
He sent it to Martha, got rid of her pain.
And then you watched,
Yeah,
well, and because nobody else was talking about pain, none of the other C60 products was talking about it or addressing it wasn't
that's
working.
yeah, that's what came later. We didn't even know the pain issue, excuse me, was an anomaly at this time. What really got us was
Yeah.
when I started researching C60, and I found the body rat study, which you talked about the last time, which
Yeah.
were trying to kill the rats and it extended their lifespan by 90%. And when they opened them up, there was no tumors and no pneumonia. That was astounding. All right. And I mean, what? I mean, what? I,
Yeah, so people kind of flocked to the C60 thinking, hey, this
hey,
is the fountain of youth
I'm trying to
here.
use. I can take it in a dropper of olive oil. Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's where everybody who was there before us was doing. They were basically replicating the body rat study, which was 80 micrograms of C60 suspended in olive oil, which is exactly what they did give to the rats. All right.
And it worked. They were having a lot of good results out of it.
Now, yeah, nobody could tell. You can't say I'm living 90% longer because you don't have a baseline. All right.
Right.
People reporting more energy and better sleep, and the problem is they say, well, I went to the gym and I hurt myself because I felt so good. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
that's what you're reading. But everybody was taking it because of the longevity issue, the
And a
possibility.
lot of people had found it. I mean,
Yeah, by
a
that
lot
time.
of people had found
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But when we ran into it in 2018 in January, it was up on the web. It wasn't on Amazon, but it was being sold. That we found a few suppliers. One, the big boys, the people who supplied it to Dr. Body and Dr. Musa was SES out of Houston. They were the main suppliers, and everybody was copying what they had done to the T because this is what the rats took.
Oh,
There was one girl we really liked her. She was cheaper. Great. All right. She got her C60 from a company in Canada, very high purity. All right. She was
oh.
very transparent about how she made it. She very transparent, and she was cheaper. So we loved her too. All right. And then, but what we
But it
found out,
didn't work. Didn't work for Martha.
but we didn't know that until we tried it.
Right.
See, we assumed all C60 would do it. I mean, we didn't know about this product. All right, we assumed it was C60. So everybody switched off because the product that Martha and Marshall and people were taking, our friends were taking, that helped with the pain. It wasn't even an olive oil. It was an outlier. All right. The bottle did not say how much was C60 in it. It was real black compared to everybody else's color. All right. And it was more expensive. So that was a part of me that got my thing. I mean, what the heck? Why pay more for, this is just
Right, so that kind of prompted you to go further, Marshall.
yeah.
So, okay, so how did this really get launched? So you knew there was one product that was addressing everybody's pain.
Yes.
It was C60, but you didn't know anything. Okay, go ahead.
Think about it. And so is the price issue of the theory that we had. We've had a lot of theories. All right. I mean,
I'm sure you did.
the theory was, wow, C60 eliminated the pain, and because of that, it's better to get paid less for it than more. All right. That was the first theory.
Sure.
So they all started taking the brands that everybody else were taking. Their pain came back within 1 to 2 weeks. Boom. All right. Martha thought she was doing an experiment, so she kept taking it and getting worse before she concluded. Marshall, the first sign of pain, he went back to his original bottle. All right. So that was a slap in the face. That was a wake-up call. What? So we didn't stop there. We started taking everybody else's. Well, Martha did. All right. And because pain was such a metric with her with osteoporosis in her hip, she was able to tell. She said all the C60 was good. All right. But she always had to go back to the original C60 formulation that was in sunflower oil, not in olive oil, and the black one that was more expensive. Why? Because she didn't want to hurt. And all the other ones, she liked them because they were metaphysical or they were cheaper, or we liked the person doing it. We were into these people. We found out where they were sourcing their C60 from, and things that we were into it. We weren't just amateur, we're amateurs, but we were into it. All right. We were interested amateurs. So what happened is that throughout this time, Martha probably took more brands of C60 than anybody on this planet. All right, except rats, because we wanted to find, we weren't trying to do anything at the time. We were just trying to find out if we could get the stuff cheaper, because we're trying to save money.
Sure.
And $1 a day is pretty cheap for something that will keep your life long. But most of the products were above that at that time. All right, and so we tried. I'm right now giving the cats the C60 that we didn't use up from all these experiments. All right. So what happened is that Marshall sent the bottle that they were using to a laboratory, and to have it tested, because they didn't say how much was in it. They didn't say anything about it. They didn't even say how they made it. Everybody else was very transparent, except this one brand, the brand that was effective. And so the analysis came back. There were only trace amounts of C60 in it. The guy told us, this guy's a major chemist, and he said, he said, buy it from SES, which is the Houston people, or Sigma Aldrich, which is a very reputable old-time, chemical company that was making C60. He said, buy it from them. You guys are done. And that's what really shocked us. How could that be? That there was very little C60 in it, and yet it was the only one that kept away the pain. And we knew that. And that's what drove us for 2 years. So the first theory that we came up with, another wrong theory, was, it's homeopathic. Less is better. It was wrong. All right. Yeah. But less is better. It would explain it, but it wasn't the right theory. All right. So we eventually came around. In fact, it was in the body rat study itself that we found confirmation of our suspicion. In the body rat study, the one that was done in Paris, they said, if you read it, and we did over and over and over, that C60 clusters and clumps, because it's electronically attracted to itself, so it forms clusters, and when it's clustered, it becomes far less effective. All right, because there's the surface area, you have all these nanoparticles in the middle, and it's like only the nanoparticles on the outside of the C60 could actually do their work with whatever. We didn't even know what they were doing. They suspected it was an antioxidant, and it is. It's one of the most powerful antioxidants on the planet. So on the outside, the C60 transfers electrons with what they call radical, free ions, ROS. And that's the aging. That causes the aging. That causes the stress. That causes cancer. That causes all, leads to all sorts of diseases. All right. So the body rat study, what they said, they knew this already because they'd worked with it. They said they stirred the formulation for 2 weeks to break up the clusters. Why? Why were there clusters? Why were there so many clusters and clumps in the body rat study formulation? Because they were trying to put as much C60 in to kill the rats. They weren't trying to make the rats live longer. They didn't know it would make them live longer. Their only intention was to load as much C60 as they could into the oil so it would be fatal to the rats as quickly as possible.
And even at that time, they knew that if they stirred it, it would be more effective than let it cluster together.
They said hundreds of times more effective. Nobody done it, but they knew it was on a magnitude of hundreds that when the clusters broke up, it was more effective. All right. So that was our clue. How to break up the clusters was the problem. And how everybody breaks up C60 clusters generally is with industrial solvents. That's why when you go up there, people talk, oh, no solvents, or we get rid of the solvents, because the common industrial solvents used to break up the clusters, and they make it, quote, more effective, except it'll kill you if it's there, is benzene, and benzene is and they use carbon tetrachloride, anything. I had a list of all these industrial solvents that people used to break up C60, to disperse it, and I had them ranked according to safety, and none of them were really safe. All right, so I was looking for green solvents, and I found that we had a friendship with a very, very high-ranking C60 researcher, and so I would send it to him, and one I sent it to him. It was known to be a green solvent. Green. What
right.
Another wrong theory. I got the mother load. Green solvent. So I sent it to him. I sent him the formulation. We got a sample of it. He goes, Daryl, he said, this will disperse and break up the C60 clusters. He said, but when you boil off to get rid of the solvent, to get rid of the bath that is in, the solution, to get down to the pure C60, he said, the solvent's going to break down in its composite parts. And he said, and some of those parts may be toxic. They may have a toxicity. There went my theory.
Well,
there went.
Strike 127, huh?
It went out. So, and what's happening was interesting is that, and I think it was part of the universe, because the universe, we were writing professors in Europe who were doing all this experimentation. We were trying to get hold of people in Russia, in Czechoslovakia, and everything, nothing worked.
Well, when you say we, who are we at this point?
Well, the person who, in fact, the guy who introduced him, he's part of our team now, we're all sort of brought together at Marshall Thurber is a guy who was the core of this, all right? And I knew Marshall back in law school in 1965. That's a long time ago, at Hastings in San Francisco.
Right.
And Marshall became sort of notorious for being a New Age thinker and New Age businessman, and he was very close friends with Buckminster Fuller, E. Edwards Deming, and he's very much a leading edge meta thinker. One of the trainings he set in motion was called Money and You. That was taken by some extraordinary people. This was done in the late 70s, early 80s. The Money and You series was even taken into China. All right, the Chinese don't let very little in, and the person who took it over from Marshall, who he gave it to, she was knighted. She was given a knighthood. She's called Dame by the St. John of the Cross Hospitalier of Malta for continuing Marshall's work.
So it was you and Marshall and Martha
at this point. And
I know there's some woo-woo involved here, so I'm going to wrap it up for today, and then let's do another one with how this progressed, because we got a lot of information in this one.
Yeah, this is a fascinating story of how we ended up as just users, who is everybody I assume may or may not be on this program, to actually coming out with a product that we believe is more effective and cheaper and better than anything on the market today.
Well, and that's the thing. I science kind of proves that out, but I want to get to that whole how you got there, because again, it's just a fantastic story. So I will see you soon, Daryl, and we'll pick up where we left off today then.
Thank you, Linda.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye then.
Link.
Bye.
The link. The link.
Oh, Linda, the link. We have to say the link.
Oh, so if you think this may help you, there is a link below that you can click on and get 50% off, or get this first month supply for only $15 plus a $6 shipping fee. So we'll see you next week.
Very good. Thank you, Linda.
Bye-bye then.